Well, I was welcome back. Just before we went on break, I was asking the High Commissioner, the British High Commissioner, His Excellency Mr. Paul Arkwright, the question on the £5 million, the first £5 million the United Kingdom has voted. I think Theresa May made that statement, you know, at the United Nations General Assembly. The first £5 million they voted to ensure that modern slavery is fought. Is there any reason why Nigeria has been chosen in particular? And how is that money going to be spent?
Yeah, well, a good question. You're right. Theresa May made this one of the main themes of her visit to the United Nations General Assembly just a couple of weeks back. In fact, she hosted a meeting to look at this global problem of modern slavery. And I'm pleased to say that President Buhari attended that meeting in New York. So it's clear that he and the Nigerian government also take this issue seriously. Modern slavery is about it's about people trafficking. It's about what happens to people who maybe for apparently legitimate reasons are invited to the United Kingdom or any other country, often developed, richer countries, and then are trafficked once they're there. They're held in bondage, they're held in slavery, they're not allowed to move, etc. It's a problem. It's a problem in the United Kingdom, and we recognise that. But it's a global problem, and it's a problem for the countries that are where these people are being sent and being kept in slavery. But it's also a problem for the countries, obviously, where these people are coming from. Sadly, Nigeria is one of those countries. It's not the only country. It's quite prevalent across the world. Nigeria is one of those countries. That's a problem which is recognised, I think, here in Nigeria. And the United Kingdom wants to do something about that. So Nigeria was chosen as one of those countries of origin, if you like, where perhaps the United Kingdom, by spending a certain amount of money, can help remove some of the causes of that movement into modern slavery. So the money has been agreed, £5 million. Exactly what that money will go on to is currently under discussion. It's under discussion in the UK, but obviously with the authorities here. I think it will be around identifying some of the core problems as to why it is that people, and sadly it's often young women, who are trafficked into the UK. What are the causes? Where are they coming from? And what can we do to help provide alternative jobs, employment opportunities, for example, in those particular places, so that people don't feel the economic necessity, if you like, of going overseas and then being trafficked.
Sorry, do you have the numbers? Because now Nigeria is your office, so perhaps you should be concerned about the numbers coming from Nigeria when it comes to people into modern slavery or trafficking of young girls.
Well, the numbers, it's difficult with the numbers because by definition this is a clandestine, illegal activity. It's often involving large organised crime organisations and so on. The actual numbers, I think we don't actually know exactly. From evidence of Nigerians who have been caught in the UK who are responsible for this, and I don't mean the victims, but I mean some of the people who are organising this. I think it is a significant problem, but we don't know exactly. I mean, this is part of the reason why we're looking at this, to find out just how large a scale this is an issue. But we do know from people who've been released from modern slavery and in effect from captivity in the UK, we do know that Nigerians, including young Nigerian women, are part of that problem and indeed victims of that crime. And that's why we want to have a look at what we can do here in Nigeria to stop it from happening.
Well, let me talk a little bit about the economy.
Yeah.
And you were speaking yesterday about ease of doing business in Nigeria. Now that we're battling recession and putting in place measures to see us come out of this, what kind of role do we expect the UK to play here?
Well, the main point is that this is a Nigerian government-led economic programme, and President Buhari has set out down this track. He's obviously got the Vice President, the economic management team of ministers who are excellent ministers working very hard to turn this around, to pull Nigeria out of recession. It's not for us to comment or advise on the broader macroeconomic issues around that, but it is, I think, for us to provide support to President Buhari's support to the government, to look at ways in which we can perhaps provide expertise and ways in which we can provide advice to the government, to the economic management team, given some of the similar situations which have happened around the world. You're right, Nigeria is going through some very difficult economic times. It's in the United Kingdom's interest, from a business perspective, but from lots of other perspectives as well, to help Nigeria come out of that recession. So we're looking at different ways of doing that, obviously through businesses themselves. I've talked about helping, encouraging British businesses to come here and invest in Nigeria, perhaps through providing some kind of expertise and advice to the government, which we're happy to do if they're willing to take that, and to continue talking about the positive side of Nigeria. Sadly, and we've just been talking about one aspect of that, the image of Nigeria in the United Kingdom, let's be honest, is not a great one. Part of my job is to help change that image, encourage people to come here. One of the things I was doing yesterday, apart from ringing the closing bell, which was a great pleasure at the Nigeria Stock Exchange, was actually visiting the co-creation hub. That's the place that Mark Zuckerberg went to. I had actually booked in my visit before Mark Zuckerberg arrived, but anyway, I went along, and I met some really amazing Nigerian entrepreneurs, young people, some of whom educated in the UK, who are coming back to Nigeria to give back to Nigeria and to help. As they said to me, we know what the problems are. We now need to find the solutions, and they're going about this in a creative, innovative kind of way. And whenever I meet people like that, I feel there is real hope and optimism and a future, a really strong future for Nigeria. But that's a message that doesn't get across very often to the UK, and that's part of my job, is to make sure that not only do Nigerians understand the UK, but British people and the British government and my bosses and my ministers understand Nigeria and understand that Nigeria is not all about corruption and modern slavery and all the issues that we've been talking about, but Nigeria has a promising longer-term future, a massive potential in Africa, with the population growth which is expected to go up to, well, who knows what, 450 million by 2050 is one of the figures I've heard. In order for that to be sustainable, you have to have growth in a country. For a country to grow, it needs to export. For a country to export, it needs to produce the goods that they can export. And I think that's very much where President Buhari and the diversification agenda comes in. The focus on agriculture, infrastructure, power, above all power. If you don't have power, businesses can't really operate. If they can't operate, they can't produce, and then they can't export. So there are various stages to that. And I think that at every stage of that economic program, from infrastructure, from power, through to agriculture, agribusiness, and so on, manufacturing, mining, then all of that, at every stage, there is British expertise that can be brought to bear.
Let me come in here, because first, it's a shame you allowed Mark beat you to that visit. Because this is home for you, so you should have been long before.
I should have got there first. Yeah.
Now let's talk. Let's close with the visa program of the United Kingdom. A lot of Nigerians have been asking questions about your visa program. Tell us what's new.
Well, first of all, the rules haven't changed. The advice I always give to people who want to come to the UK, first thing I always say is you're welcome to come to the UK. There are no quotas for Nigerians coming to the UK. All those rumours that we're trying to stop people, that's not true. But we have a visa regime, you're right. And that visa regime depends on people applying in very good time. So if you're going to go tomorrow, there is one option if you're going to go tomorrow. I would advise against applying very late anyway. Think about it in good time. Make sure that all your documents are there. Provide all the evidence that you can, including things like bank statements, financial documentation, and so on. And if everything is in order, and if you provide enough evidence, then we can turn that around. We for a regular normal visa, that can be turned around in between 10 and 15 working days, which isn't bad, frankly. There is, if somebody is really desperate to get there very quickly and has the ability to pay a hefty sum, I have to say, but nevertheless, we can turn around a visa in 1 day. That's called a super priority visa. This is the news. This is the new thing.
Priority
visa. Yeah, SPV. If you go online and I can tweet on my Twitter handle @PaulTArkwright. We can put you through to the website. You can get a visa in 24 hours. It's expensive, of course it's expensive, but if you've got all the documentation there and you need to go very quickly, then it's certainly possible to get to the UK very, very quickly.
Looks like a fest for a country.
A what?
It looks like a fest for any country.
First, well, I'm not sure that I think maybe one or two other countries, but it's certainly an innovation, well, a lot of Nigerians have already started. This has been in operation for a couple of months now, and I've been a bit surprised, I must say. But lots of people are using it, and it is proving very effective, and it's working well.
How expensive?
£750.
That's expensive.
I warned you. Apply early. That's my.
I shall do
But
that.
if you need to get there, quickly, well then that's one way of doing it.
A little bit of football before you go.
Yeah.
You're originally from Bolton.
I am.
And then when Sam took over that big position, which is that he's looked forward to almost all his life. And eventually, when it was announced, it was breaking news that he was stepping down after that sting operation. He was talking to reporters about how to evade British FA rules.
Yeah.
What exactly is going on? Were you disappointed when you heard that?
I was disappointed. I must admit, I was disappointed when I heard it. I was disappointed when I saw the footage. It was a sting, as you call it. I think he himself described it as entrapment. But anyway, it was certainly disappointing. I'm a fan of Bolton Wanderers. You're right. I am a fan of Sam Allardyce. I mean, I thought what he did at Bolton was just amazing. And I'll be forever grateful that he brought JJ Okocha to Bolton Wanderers. He was responsible for bringing JJ to Bolton, and as many of your viewers will know, it's one of my great pleasures here in having met JJ and working with JJ on a number of things. So Sam brought JJ to Bolton, and under Sam Allardyce, Bolton did incredibly well, and were in the European competitions for a couple of years as well. So it was very disappointing that Sam left the England job. Then again, as some people pointed out, he left the England job with the best record that an England manager has ever had, which is a 100% win record. Played one, won one. So there you go.
Even though at the under-17 level, British, you were lucky to have escaped Nigeria. We played a draw.
Yeah, I know, and great. And by the way, Nigeria at the Olympics, that was just brilliant. I really enjoyed the games. I thought all those players did really well, and so many young Nigerians now playing in the Premier League. And a couple of those young guys going for the sort of Young Player of the Year, Iheanacho in Man City, and Alex Iwobi, who, as you may know, is JJ's nephew at Arsenal. I know there are lots of Arsenal fans here in Nigeria, but no, it's great, and it's actually football is a really good example of that interconnection between Nigeria and the United Kingdom, and the sort of shared love of sport and football, the cultural history. I think it's really important we don't forget that. Those ties, historical ties, cultural ties, sporting ties, really mean that this is a true friendship, a partnership between two great countries, and football is one of those great examples.
I want to have to anchor at that great point, Mr. Paul Arkwright. That's His Excellency, Mr. Paul Arkwright, UK Ambassador to Nigeria. Thank you for coming on this morning.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
We will be back in a moment and focus on the more economic matters in just a moment. To join us again.